Meet Jamie. She's 26, makes 62,000 a year, and honestly, she's doing pretty well for herself. But her parents won't stop telling her she's throwing money away on rent. Her coworker just bought a house, and you'd think he discovered fire, the way he talks about it. And her Instagram? Every other post is someone signing mortgage papers, looking like they just won an Olympic gold medal. So Jamie does what everyone around her is doing. She drains her savings, puts $80,000 down on a $400,000 home, signs the papers, and for a moment, she feels like she finally made it. Then, 14 months later, she gets a job offer in another city, the kind of offer that changes your whole career. She can't take it. See, selling a home she bought just 14 months ago, that cost her between $30,000 and $40,000 in fees, taxes, and lost equity surds. She's trapped in four. Not because she made a bad decision, because she made the right decision at the completely wrong time in her life. Welcome to Fin Finance Look. I spend way too much time studying the small money moves that quietly separate the wealthy from everyone else. If you've ever felt like the system's rigged against you, you're right, and this channel is how you fight back. Subscribe and tap the bell. In a few minutes, you'll know exactly when renting makes you richer than buying, and the 3 questions that tell you which side of that line you're on right now. Okay, let's start with the numbers nobody in real estate wants you to see. As of early 2026, the national median monthly mortgage payment is 20% higher than the median rent. 20%. That means in most American cities right now, renting is literally the cheaper option every single month. Recent data shows renting saves the average household roughly $900 a month, compared to buying, across 49 of the 50 largest cities in America, $900 every single month. That's $10,800 a year staying in your pocket, instead of going to a bank. Now, here's where it gets worse. The real estate industry almost never puts these numbers in the brochure. Hidden homeownership costs in 2026 now average over $21,000 a year, on top of the mortgage itself. Think about it. Property taxes, homeowners insurance, up 48% since 2020. Maintenance and repairs, nearly $9,000 a year on average. HOA fees, and PMI, that's private mortgage insurance, an extra monthly fee the bank charges if your down payment's below 20%. Protects the bank, by the way, not you. The average first-time buyer doesn't see any of this until the first bill lands, and almost none of them were warned. Here's the best way to understand what's actually happening. Imagine you're planning a road trip across the country. You don't know exactly where you're going yet. Don't know if you'll be gone 6 months or 3 years. Someone tells you, just buy a car. It's always better to own than to rent. So you buy one, a nice one, $30,000. 2 months in, you realize the whole trip only needed a rental. You needed flexibility more than ownership, but now you own the car, and selling it costs you more than renting one would have for the entire trip. See, that's exactly what buying a home at the wrong life stage does to your money. Honestly, homeownership is one of the most powerful wealth-building tools ever created, but it only works when it matches where your life actually is, not where Instagram says it should be. Now, here's the part nobody tells you. The real estate industry has a financial incentive to sell you on owning as early as possible. Agents earn commissions. Banks earn 30 years of interest payments. Nobody in that transaction makes a single dollar when you decide to wait. So nobody tells you to wait, even when waiting is exactly the right move. Now here's the part that nobody in personal finance wants to talk about, Selv. And honestly, it's the most important part of this whole video. The pressure you feel to buy, it's not coming from your bank account. It's coming from something much older, much harder to fight. Psychologists call it social proof, the tendency to look at what everyone around us is doing and just assume that must be the right thing to do. When your parents bought a home, buying felt like the responsible adult move. When your coworker signs the papers, your brain goes, wait, am I falling behind? When your feed fills up with kitchen renovations and backyard grills, renting starts to feel like failure. Look, none of that is financial logic. All of it is social pressure, wearing a financial costume. And here's what makes it worse. This pressure's been building since before you were old enough to have a bank account. You grew up in a culture where home ownership was the finish line of adulthood. Not one option among many or dating. The destination. So every year you rent feels like a year you're running in the wrong direction. Your brain's measuring your progress, not against your own goals, but against a cultural script written decades before you were even born. Now here's what that pressure actually costs in real numbers. The average person who buys too early, before their career's settled, before they know what city they want, before their income can absorb a bad month, ends up either trapped in a home they can't leave or forced to sell at a loss within 3 years, and selling a home you bought less than 3 years ago almost always loses money. After closing costs, agent commissions, and taxes, that total typically runs between 7 and 10% of the sale price. On a $400,000 home, that's up to $40,000 evaporated. The social pressure cost you $40,000. Not renting. The rush. Okay. Be honest with me in the comments right now. Type a 1 if you're feeling pressure from family or friends to buy a home, even though you're not sure you're ready. Type a 2 if you're already a homeowner and wish someone had explained this before you signed. Drop your number below. I genuinely want to know who I'm talking to. Alright, let's run the actual numbers. Take a $400,000 home in 2026. At today's mortgage rate, around 6.5%, with a 20% down payment, your monthly payment is roughly $2,528. Add property taxes, insurance, and maintenance, and you're looking at closer to $3,300 a month. Now, compare that to renting a similar home for $2,000 a month, same neighborhood, same square footage, $1,300 cheaper, every single month. That's $15,600 a year, staying with the renter that the buyer doesn't have. Now here's where it gets interesting. If that renter takes even half of that monthly difference, $650, and invests it into a broad index fund, returning 7% a year after 10 years, they've got roughly $107,000 in invested wealth. By the way, an index fund is just one investment that automatically tracks hundreds of companies like Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft. You get a slice of the whole stock market without picking individual stocks. Now the buyer, over those same 10 years, they've built real equity in a home that's likely gone up in value. So who wins? Honestly, neither. And both. The answer depends entirely on 3 things: how long you stay, what city you're in, and where your life actually is right now. Here's the rule. Stop asking whether renting or buying is better. In general, start asking whether it's right for your specific life right now. And 3 questions. Decide that answer. Question 1. Will you stay for at least 5 to 7 years? Look, recent data confirms that in most American markets in 2026, buying only makes financial sense if you're staying at least 5 to 7 years following. That's the break-even point. The moment where your built equity, your locked-in payment, and your home's appreciation finally outweigh the upfront costs and monthly premium of owning the decision. If you're not certain you'll stay that long, renting protects you. A lease is a 1-year decision. A mortgage is a 30-year decision. Only one of those can be walked away from without losing tens of thousands of dollars. Question 2. Can you comfortably cover the full cost? Not just the mortgage. A 20% down payment on a $400,000 home is $80,000. Add closing costs of 2 to 5% and you're over $90,000 before your first mortgage payment. Then add the hidden annual costs, over $21,000 a year, beyond the mortgage itself. If buying stretches you to the edge of your emergency fund, don't buy. See, a home is only a wealth-building asset when you can afford to own it without stress. When it stretches your budget to breaking point, it becomes a liability that bleeds you for decades. Question 3. Is your income and career settled enough to plant roots? If you're in your 20s, early career, or still figuring out where you want to live, renting isn't losing. Renting is buying time. Time to build income, time to build savings, time to find the city, the neighborhood, the life that actually fits, before you lock it all into 30 years of mortgage payments. Now, here's how this plays out for Jamie. From the start of this video, Jamie's honest answers to those 3 questions. All no, she didn't know if she'd stay 5 years. The down payment wiped out most of her safety net, and her career was still growing in ways that might have taken her somewhere new. She had the right intention, she just asked the wrong question. She asked, is buying better than renting? Instead of, Is buying better than renting for me right now at this exact point in my life? Those are two completely different questions, and only one of them has the right answer. The wealthiest people aren't the ones who bought first. They're the ones who bought right. At the right time, in the right place, with the right foundation under them. Look, most people make the rent versus buy decision based on what everyone else around them is doing them. The wealthy make it based on three questions no one ever taught them to ask. Tonight, before you feel the pressure of another Instagram post or another family dinner, ask those three questions. Your honest answers already know which side you're on. Hit subscribe and tap the bell. Every video on this channel gives you one more thing the system never taught you. There's another video waiting on your screen right now. What you click next is the next decision your money's about to make.